You ever wake up and just know your day's about to turn into a full-blown circus? Because let me tell you, nothing will jolt you awake faster than the sound of a white BMW X5 blasting across your front lawn at sunrise, especially when that lawn cost you $2,000 and you wired every inch of it yourself. You know what I mean? Yeah, that happened. Every single morning for 3 months, my corner lot in Millbrook Heights became Karen Whitmore's personal shortcut. BMW tires screeching, my irrigation lines getting chewed up, diesel exhaust mixing right in with my morning coffee, and dreams just crunching under German engineering. Now, you'd think, in America, you could walk outside and drink your coffee in peace, right? But every morning, there she was, Karen, with her license plate literally reading Karen W., her platinum highlights, her McMansion up the hill, and an attitude that could turn fresh milk sour. The first time, I thought maybe it was a mistake. Second time, I started to get that itch, like, this can't be an accident. Third morning, I set up a security camera, and boom, caught her at 7:47 a.m. sharp, cutting across my property like she owned the place. She didn't even slow down. So I tried what a decent neighbor would do. Walked over, introduced myself, said, "Hey, I'm Marcus, just moved in. Looks like you're taking a little shortcut across my lawn." She didn't look up from her roses. "It's a free country," she says. "Maybe don't plant so close to the road if you can't handle a little traffic." That's about the time my electrician brain started doing the math on concrete and consequences. See, I spent 30 years as a union electrician, big jobs, hospitals, shopping malls, laying cable that's supposed to survive anything. My whole thing is, build it so it lasts. After 3 decades of that, I finally bought this corner lot, set up my own little paradise for me and my wife, Sarah. She's fighting early Parkinson's, can't drive anymore, can't keep up her garden. So this lawn, this house, it was supposed to be our sanctuary. But try explaining sanctuary to someone like Karen. The more I tried to reason, the more she doubled down. I put up signs, she tore him down. Called the cops, they said it was a civil matter. Meanwhile, every morning, it's the same show, Karen in her BMW, revving up for her grand entrance. What Karen didn't know was, I just discovered something interesting in the county records about where my property line really ended. Turns out, I own more land than those old markers let on. That's when I started planning, and not just any plan, an electrician's plan. That weekend, I hit up Tony's Hardware and came home loaded with motion-activated lights, surveillance signs, weatherproof wire, enough gear to light up a runway. Saturday, I spent wiring up 8 motion floodlights along the property line. By Sunday, my yard was a fortress. Monday morning, 7:47 a.m., right on cue. Karen comes roaring around the bend, hits the first motion sensor, and suddenly her windshield's lit up like the Vegas Strip. The screech when she hit the brakes. Phew, that was better than caffeine. She sat there, blinded and mad, then gunned it through anyway. Next day, she laid on the horn, waking up the whole block. By Wednesday, I put up a big private property under surveillance sign, just in case she missed the point. But Karen didn't just get mad, she declared war. That Thursday, while I'm settling in to watch the news, my security system starts squawking. I look outside, and there she is, dressed all in black like some kind of ninja, going after my lights with her designer shoes, just stomping them into the ground. Problem for her, though, I'd installed a backup battery system. Even after she thought she'd killed the lights, my cameras caught everything. The kicking, the cursing, the look on her face when she realized she was being recorded. Friday morning, I get an official HOA complaint. Excessive lighting, disturbing neighborhood tranquility, creating hazards. Signed by Karen, naturally. The paper even felt cheap, like her arguments. So I filed a vandalism claim with my insurance. Then I stopped by Tony's again, and that's where I met Mrs. Patterson, 78 years old, sharper than a live wire, kept a notebook documenting every crazy thing Karen had pulled for the past 2 years. Bird feeder complaints, threats to the mailman, you name it. And then came the twist. When my insurance investigator came to check the damage, he started poking around the property lines and said, "Marcus, you might want to get a professional survey. These markers look off." That's when the real fun started. I called Pete, my old union buddy turned surveyor. He comes out, sprays orange lines across my lawn, and says, "Buddy, you own 18 feet more than these markers show. Karen's not just trespassing. Her fancy retaining wall is 4 feet onto your land. So the next time Karen strutted over, heels clacking on my driveway, I was ready. She tried to spin it. Say her husband Derek, who built half the neighborhood, knows every inch of this place. But I had Pete's official survey and the original county records. She called me blue-collar trash and said life was about to get very, very difficult for me. Yeah, I'd heard that one before. But here's the thing about being blue-collar. You learn how to do things right, and you learn who to call. First, I rang my insurance company's legal department. Then I called a concrete contractor. Some problems need permanent solutions. Friday, the city code inspector shows up, talking about unpermitted electrical work. $1,200 fine, he says. 10 days to remove everything. But I know the code. Anything under 30 volts doesn't need a permit. And when I asked him where he golfed, well, let's just say Derek and his buddies had their hands in city business, too. I filed a public records request. Turns out, Karen had filed 47 complaints against 19 neighbors in 18 months. Her weapon of choice was bureaucracy, and the code inspector was her personal muscle. Even her husband's million-dollar addition sailed through approvals, right when the property lines magically shifted. So, I called Tom, the city's head electrical inspector. He came out, checked my lights, and said, "Marcus, this is museum-quality work. Whoever cited you either flunked code school or is straight-up lying." Just as Tom was writing his report, he gets a call. Major fire at Derek's latest construction site. Faulty wiring, no permits. That investigation snowballed fast. That was my cue. I finalized plans for a decorative concrete bollard, 5 feet deep, steel reinforced, with a little bronze plaque. By Monday, Pete's survey had become Exhibit A in what would be the biggest property fraud scandal in town history. Turns out, Derek and Karen had shifted boundaries to steal land from half a dozen neighbors. Mrs. Patterson, the Hendersons, even the new Garcias lost feet off their yards. All those corrections added up to nearly half an acre of stolen land. My lawyer, Sarah Kim, was ecstatic. She said, "Marcus, you've got enough evidence here for a lawsuit that'll bankrupt them." But I had a better plan. What if I just installed a beautiful, totally legal decorative bollard right in Karen's BMW path? So I did. Poured the foundation 5 feet down, set the rebar, topped it with granite, and positioned it exactly 8 inches inside my property line. It looked like a fancy garden feature, but to Karen's car, it was a brick wall. Monday morning, fresh coffee in hand, I watched from my kitchen window. 7:47 a.m., Karen comes flying around the corner, doesn't even slow down, and wham. Her passenger wheel meets that bollard like a hurricane hitting a mountain. The BMW crumpled, steam hissing, the whole neighborhood echoing with the sound of shattered entitlement. She stormed out, screamed that I'd set a trap, called the cops. But Officer Rodriguez took one look at the survey and said, "Ma'am, this is private property. Looks like driver error to me." Karen lost it. She called Derek, but he was knee-deep in his own code investigation and left her hanging. Her meltdown in my driveway would have made reality TV jealous. She promised this isn't over, and I believed her. But this time, the whole neighborhood was watching, and Mrs. Patterson had it all on video. Karen tried one more trick. She hired a guy with an excavator to fix a gas leak that didn't exist, tried to destroy my bollard under cover of fake emergency work. But the utility companies confirmed it was bogus. The cops arrived in time to catch the operator playing back Karen's $10,000 bribe offer right there on his phone. Click. Cuffs on Karen, charges for fraud, conspiracy, and impersonating a utility worker. That was the beginning of the end. The city council meeting was packed. Neighbors, TV crews, even the FBI, who'd been investigating construction fraud in 3 counties. Derek and Karen's web unraveled fast. Fake surveys, code inspectors on the take, over $2 million in stolen land. When it was all said and done, Karen pleaded guilty, Derek lost his license, the city apologized and dropped every fine against me. I took my settlement and started the Millbrook Neighborhood Justice Fund, helping neighbors fight back against fraud, scams, and petty tyranny. Sarah's health improved. Laughter came back to our yard, and that famous bollard, now with Sarah's rosemary and thyme growing around it, became a local landmark. The Garcias opened the Ballard Cafe, Mrs. Patterson leads our neighborhood watch, and Tony's Hardware holds workshops on property rights. Last week, a young family moved into Karen's old house, respectful and friendly, though I see Mrs. Patterson already measuring the property line, just in case. The bollard still stands, kids playing around it, neighbors looking out for each other. Every morning, as I drink my coffee and watch the sun hit that patch of Kentucky bluegrass, I remember, sometimes, the most permanent solutions start with one person who refuses to get pushed around. Now it's your turn. Tell me, what would you do if a neighbor tried to steal your land? Or if the HOA turned against you? Drop your craziest story in the comments. Tell me where you're watching from. And if you've got a revenge plan that tops a concrete bollard, I want to hear it. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who needs a reminder. The best revenge is building something that lasts.